I'll go ahead and call to order the Bluegrass Governing Board of Local Elected Officials meeting. And June the 20th already, 2024. And I know. So do we actually do a roll call? Does somebody do a roll call? It's on.
I know we do with the WIP meetings, so we don't need to do it this one, okay?
Okay, I did, I don't remember.
As long as we're comfortable, we have a forum.
Yep, we do have a quorum. And does everybody know everybody? You were here last meeting, weren't you? No, you're a brand new intern?
Yes,
Okay, well, let's meet our intern.
yes.
Introduce them.
This is William, and I will let William tell you a little bit.
Okay, all right, welcome.
Nice to meet you. My name is William Monster. I go to Carnegie Wilson Academy. It's like necessary programs. I'm going to my junior year, and I was gonna do I was gonna go into the doctor field when I go to college. And I'm doing some youth programs, which I intern and find a job in anything. So I'm liking it so far.
That's great. Carter G. Woodson is known for its high standards and for, have you been on some of the trips to other countries and to Huntsville, go to Huntsville? Now, Roz Akins, she pretty much runs hers is the BMW program, but they kind of combined and paid for the trips and things in all of that program. So I'm really glad that you're here. Are you working here or you're here? Okay, so we're going for a while. It's great to have you. Why don't we just quickly go around to be sure you know everybody?
Robin Richard, the program assistant.
Anna Gregory, Quality Control Manager.
Well, the Packer Business Services Manager.
And Humanities Director of Workforce Services.
And last cover for the manager.
Brenda Gordon, Mayor of Lexington.
Mike Williams, I'm the Bergen County Judge Executive.
I'm Colin Mosley, I'm the WIOA County Officer.
I'm Kevin Moore, I'm the Workforce Services Manager.
I'm David Dellinger, the Executive Director of the Bluegrass AD.
David West, Jessamine County Judge Executive.
And then we have people on our Zoom. You'll introduce yourselves.
Good morning.
Okay, Judge.
This is Steve Hamilton, Nicholas County Judge Executive. Apologize I wasn't able to be there in person, but we had a call court meeting at 8:30 and I have another meeting at 11:30, so I'm doing my work.
Very good. Glad to have you. Anyway.
I'm Todd Blanton. I'm the one-stop operator for the Kentucky Career Centers in the Bluegrass.
May Planning and Information Manager. Good morning, everybody.
Okay. All right, very good. So let's move on to our action items. And first one is our minutes of March 20th, 24. And I'll entertain a motion to approve. Thank you, Judge. And a second. All right, Judge Williamson. Are there any corrections or additions or anything at all? No? All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Okay, that passes. And we have several February, March, and April financial reports. So Colin,
Yes, ma'am.
you want to
Yes,
go over
ma'am.
those?
I'll just run through each as we go, and if you have any questions, please stop me. So February of 2024, at the close of business on that, at that month, we were 49% expended on our overall budget. And that compares to 77% in the prior year. Our admin costs were at 69% compared to 74% in the prior year. Our adult expenditures was 28% expended compared to 94% in the prior year. Our dislocated worker program was at 39%. That compares to 38% in the prior year. our youth was 49% expended, and compares to 91% the prior year. And our youth program funds was about 20% expended. That was for the work experience.
Are there questions, comments,
Again, that was February.
curiosities? I have just a question, on the adult. And I probably ought to know this, but I can't pull it out right now. Why is it, that's 29 or 28? That seems low.
What low that we haven't spent a whole lot at that point. And, well, it's,
You can, I'm sure I should know that, so just help me understand it again. Thank you.
so it's a little low, but again, we had gone into the year trying to kind of trim by and conserve without spending too much money, so as of February, we were really just kind of getting a little bit more traction. Like we just brought Tiffany in, so we got her on the books, and we added some more PDSs. And so I think as we go forward, we'll see we're gonna get closer to by the end of the year, probably about 65-70% expended on the adult. We're gonna have a small amount to carry over. Just, you know, it was just a matter of our scaling back. If you can look at the individual line items, you know, some of these things we've got, we've just not spent as much in, yet, at this point as far as February was. But,
Okay, and yet the administrative is 69%, quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
How does that compute? I mean, can you help me understand?
So where we had, the financial issues previous year, we knew that from, his services kind of stopped, right, because the budgeting issue that happened. And there wasn't gonna be any enrollments to make up the difference until in December. Right, so you still had your board staff and services were still being offered, like, the thing is we have the intensive services that we're paying for ITAs, right? And the work-based learning, some things like that, but the funding issues, we focus more on the basic career services. Services are still being provided, individuals are still being put into direct hire positions, right? So the staffing remain the same as far as like board staff, because you had Mike as the interim director. But then it wasn't until when I got hired on that we opened up to start doing actual more enrollments and all that, because you'll see later in it, it evens out. Right, because this is for February. So, and there wasn't any enrollments from what, September?
Or very few enrollments.
Well, very few,
Right.
yes. From September to December, there was, and we just had to do it that way where the budget had got messed up.
Have you,
Yeah.
have you also talked about the administrative? Since it was at 69% in February, what have you done there?
Yes,
I mean, my main question is, have you also tightened up on the administrative cost, and where does that show?
let's go on, Bill. I'll hop,
If you want to just tell me, I don't
Yeah,
need a lot of
I
detail.
think if you look on to April, which is the
Right.
is on, that's
It's
what,
free.
yeah, that's what, and we, obviously we're in June now, and Colin, I don't know if you have the numbers already for, because we're like practically at the end of the fiscal year, so
Right.
we should be, 100% at 100% at the end of the fiscal year, and April, you were 93% of the program, 92%, so just 1% over target. And I think, to Tiffany's point, the staff, administrative staff is easier to project because it's more of a consistent expense that you're gonna have month over month, as opposed to participants coming in to be enrolled.
Correct.
And not being able to accurately project what you're actually gonna have to spend, depending on the, you know, the needs of the population. So I don't know where we are in June, but it looked like on April, you were, you know, pretty much right on pace with where you needed to be towards the end of the year.
Right.
On administrative.
Yeah.
Okay, remind me.
Yeah,
when you-
our admin for April was at 93%, and that was at 92% the prior year. We're right tracking on, the same clip on admin there.
Okay, remind me, you talked about based on the last audit and making adjustments, did you do any cuts in the administrative side?
Sure, so what goes into the
When
admin,
you say cuts, what do you?
To help with the money situation?
well, no matter what, in all the grants that we've got, admin is gonna be no more than 10% of
Off the top of the grant.
off the top of the grants that we've got. So our admin cost is always gonna be, you know, it's, so as with Robin with being a program assistant, Tiffany, director of workforce, I claim some, on my paycheck from admin. That's kind of the gist of our admin staff, plus, there's some from the career center that gets some admin costs. But,
But I believe you have adjusted
Sure.
because I'm no longer at,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that will go down. But I was.
to start the years, you were, but then,
Right.
That was all I was wondering,
Yes.
is if there had been any adjustments in the administrative area. And, and I do realize they kind of caught up with
Right.
the other 2 months, so, okay.
So maybe the one question that I had, Colin, I don't know if you were gonna go over this, so you do have towards, you know, in April, you get down to the adult and dislocated worker and the youth, and you're, you know, from 40 to 60%, but right about half expenditures at 75% of the being through the year. Is there like a rush of expenditures that come in the last quarter, to get it closer to the prior year? Or is there?
We don't want it closer to the
Oh, you
prior
don't,
year.
no, okay, so, okay. So maybe, no, I don't know what was the, yeah, right, so I don't know what the target was, or like, if there's gonna be, yeah,
Keep in mind, none of these funds are lost, right?
okay.
So the way that it is set up is that we will have carryover into the next year, because normally, right, you get we're supposed to get our allotment from the state on July 1, right? It doesn't come sometimes until September.
Yeah.
Right? So if we don't set it up to have carryover funds, then we would have to stop serving individuals, and we don't want that to ever happen again. Right, so we've set in place, because none of the funds that are carrying over are gonna be lost, like, no funds are lost. On June 30th, right, so that's just kind of that cushion, and the goal is to keep that little bit of carryover going. So that we never, because there are some of the other areas that even now, you know, whenever individuals come in to receive in the intensive services, in which should be OJTs and IPAs and all that, but they're just having to say, no, we've already expended all our funds, you've got to wait until we get our money in July.
Okay, that makes sense, so then you'll have some money to start the new year.
Yes. And the goal is to just keep it kind of rolling that way.
All right, I sort of busted you up in the report. Sorry about that, but if you want to go on, I just,
switching the March here.
yes.
So in March, we were at 56% expended on our overall budget. That compares to 82% prior year. Our admin was at 82, compares to 85% in the prior year. Our adult expenditures was 34%, compared to 99% in the prior year. Our dislocated worker was at 42%, that compares to 40% in the prior year. Our youth was 56% expended, compared to 97 in the prior year. And our youth workforce, our youth work experience was about 20% at that point as well. I'll mention this April, no clerical up to date information. So in April, keep in mind, March or May is, forthcoming. It is today is the day that I submit our, most up-to-date numbers to the work system, to the state. That's from every month by the 20th. So we've got slightly updated numbers coming soon. But in April, we were at 65% expended on our overall budget. And it compares to 84 in the prior year. Our admin was at 93% as compared to 92% in the prior year. Our adult expenditures were at 43% compared to 100% in the prior year. Our dissipated worker was at 51% comparing to 41% in the prior year. Our youth expenditures were 63% comparing to 103% prior year. And our work experience on our youth program had jumped up to 24% at the end of April.
Any questions on any of these 3 months? I do appreciate all the work you've been doing. Very much.
Appreciate that.
If there are no questions, then, I'd like to, I think we need a motion to, approve this, since we've reviewed it already. You hear a motion? Ms. Williams, thank you. Do I have a second? Wes? There's only a few of us who can make motions, so. Any further questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that motion passes. Next is the fiscal year 25 budget, and
Now, you have Michael Bushman listed on there.
yeah, we do, I don't see him.
Yeah, so he was trying to take a holiday as we're at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I volunteered to go ahead and do this. I hope everybody's okay with that.
Okay,
He and Tiffany met to discuss this, this budget and, for the most part, if you do, to read this, if you'll start by just kind of looking at it at the very top, should be 1 or 2 pages right after the finance report. That very colorful page opposite that, this budget actually, by the way, I probably should have mentioned in the prior segment, is that's our current grant balances, on our various grants. And I had it highlighted on there that the dislocated worker, the bottom grant, it has a highlighted portion, to signify that we are going to, make a transfer to move some dislocated worker funds into adult. Because really, whenever we started the year, they only gave us like close to $400,000 in adult funding, but they have it in the law where you can make transfers between a dislocated worker and adult. So, we're about to make a $500,000 transfer to finish out our year on adult, and, we'll still have plenty in dislocated worker as well to, finish out and have some, that carryover that Tiffany mentioned. So that in mind, we'll go into the budget. At the very top is our allocations. So we've got planning numbers from the state regarding our fiscal year 25 allocation. And you can see how that's broken out between admin, adult, dislocated worker, youth. And then we've also factored in a fiscal year 24 carryover. So you'll see what those carryover amounts are approximately. So as you see, we've got, roughly $1 million saved for carryover. That helps us to make sure that we've got enough to keep running throughout the summer while we wait for that first funding round, and then we'll be able to hit the ground running. Last year, our total budget was about $3.3 million, and this year we're at just about 4.4, 4.5, while using that carryover. So that's a lot more services we're gonna be able to provide. Now, if you'll look, there's on the, I guess, the fifth column, it's budget. That's where you see that $4.4 million total allocation. As you go down the side there, you'll see just how all the different line items of our budget is gonna work out. So the first block is for operating costs. That's gonna be the ads costs. That's roughly similar to how it was last year, except last year our career center rent went up a good amount. So we brought that amount to $320,000 to make it more in line with what it is actually now. We've got our, let's see, we factored in, for professional development, we've got some more, we've got set conferences and some other things kind of, got a good amount set aside there. We've also got computer
Colin.
equipment.
Okay, and the reason that we added additional funds for the professional development is when, we know it's gonna happen, but when the WIOA reauthorization goes through, there are some changes. And we know that there'll be board staff that will need to go to some of the Senate conference. There'll be more that needs to go to learn all the changes and what we need to put in place.
Could be some moving parts that we'll get ironed out. So we've got that, and then also the phone, computer, and equipment, that was slightly under budgeted last year by about 25,000 because we underestimated the cost of the VR headsets. So we've got that more in line with what that's gonna be for this year. Again, that's 5,000 per headset. So we've got that in. And then the next block is our program delivery costs. That's what Equus has. They actually, what we put in for this budget is approximately what we got for them last year, adding small percentages, to different areas. They are actually gonna submit to us, their final budget, I think today or tomorrow. That's what Michael said they were gonna do. So the bottom number, the 1.5 million that's listed there is the total that they're working with. And, this block will adjust as their need, as they define their need, on their end. So, that might change a little bit, but,
But you don't expect it to change.
I don't expect it to change too significantly. It's pretty standard compared to year-over-year totals, but, that will maybe change a tiny bit from, depending on what they need. And then we've got the one-stop operator on the bottom there. And, that's pretty much the same as it was last year. And then at the very bottom, you see total reserve FY 24 funds. That's us trying to plan ahead for some additional funds to carry over as we have this year. So right there, it's showing 1.3 million carryover total. This year, we're looking at about 1 million. And that's a conservative number right there. It could be less or more depending on how well we do on our programs, but we're trying to at least plan ahead that we've got a little carryover.
Is
what that is.
that, is that what we would call a budgeted fund balance?
A budgeted
So that
fund
it's
balance?
money that's not budgeted, but it's in the budget as not a leftover, but money that can be used.
Yeah.
So how,
Yes, so as we get new grants for this year, the PY 25 grants, the FY 24, 25 grants, those are going to be, the 2 years available to us. So they'll be available July 1st, and then one will be available October 1st, and it won't, expire until 2026, June 30, 2026. So, we're gonna be able to, we were able to kind of factor that in so that we are able to continue to have extra for that next year.
so how does fiscal year 24 projected what is the difference with the total reserve fiscal year 24? I think earlier, if I understood correctly, the fiscal year 24 projected column is leftover money that you're putting into the new budget. Is that correct?
No, this fiscal year 24 projected is how much we expect to spend. But by the close of business on June 30th this
Okay.
year, yeah, by the close of business of June 30th of this year, this on the far right column is our estimate on how much we will have spent in that column. So our budget, the budget column is right next to that one. That's 25 budget. And then on the right is the fiscal year 24. So you can see side by side how this year is turning out versus how we're planning ahead for 25.
So where is, Colin, where is the money you said you would have left over that you would use to get started in the beginning of a new fiscal year?
That's what this FY 24 carryover is up top.
It's the second row on
The second row at the very top.
So that is
So what it is,
1.1.
is we've got, this is how much, we've got this much in our grants. Fiscal year 24 is removed from that total. We still got this much left. So that's what this is representing. It's FY 24 is the total that we've got available. This carryover is the total grant allocation that we have minus this fiscal year 24 projected. And that's what it kind of spit out that we've got left over.
Okay, and then down at the bottom, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I understand. The total reserved fiscal year 24 funds are what? Is that what would be a fund balance built into the new budget?
That's what I would
What is
think, and I'm actually kind of curious about that too, Paul, because should that not be total reserved FY 25 funds, not 24?
You know what? You're exactly right. It should say
I think
25.
Okay,
That's what it, that's the big, that's the confusion. Yeah,
Okay,
it should say 25. Yes. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah.
it just got plugged in.
It's funny how all this-
We just plug all this in, right? You gotta change the, that helps a lot.
Yeah, so that's a reserve for the fiscal year 25. We're
Okay.
estimating.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it's
because it-
not redundant with that first one
Gotcha.
at the top. Yeah.
That, yeah. Okay. All right, what questions do you have? I'm sorry, I kind of hogged right over the beginning of it. Any questions? Judges?
That's the right question, too. All clear as mud.
You know, the devil's in the details with budgets, isn't it? It took me about,
Their money's something different.
yeah,
Every county calls it something different.
Mhm.
I think our budget be identified as reserve or transfer.
mhm,
Um,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we
That's a
call
good
it.
point.
It's money.
Plus, you know what we're talking about, right? We call it a budgeted fund balance. So everybody does call it.
Sophisticated.
Well. Okay, that explains. Anything else about the budget? All right, did I have a motion to approve the budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge West. We just draw straws every time.
All right, assuming with the correction to that item.
With the correction, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it will
Yes.
correct that with the 25 number. Okay. Is there a second?
Second,
Judge Williams.
I'm gonna have to demand to see
That's
Hamilton.
right. Do it for us, right? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Is anybody opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ron. Tiffany? Fiscal agent, government.
Stacy, I'm gonna have you help me with this front. So fiscal agent, is to be redesignated in September. Right, so we put this in here so that you all can look at it and, review it. And let me make sure I got this right, Stacy.
Okay.
You could either go ahead and designate the fiscal agent, again, or you all can look at it and we can discuss it at the joint training. But then there would have to be, y'all would have to approve like a small extension until we put the RFP out and things like that. Is that correct, ma'am?
That is correct.
He's been prepping me.
It takes a team.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Any questions or thoughts?
We need to vote on it.
Well, listen,
Not
It's
necessarily.
either now or wait till September.
right, what you can say is that we've reviewed it and you're gonna make the vote to wait till September to make the designation, but if, like to talk about it at the joint training. But then at the joint training, you all will vote for the RFP to go out or to
Yeah,
designate.
essentially, I'm sorry, Tiff. Essentially, what we're doing is providing you with the current agreement for you guys to have a couple of months to review. And at September, you would be making the vote of whether to put up for an RFP or to reestablish the agreement as it is, I suppose. Yeah. So it's really overall just an informational item at this point. But you can, I mean, you have the option to go ahead and make the approval to do that, but we're essentially providing you with the information to give you a couple of months to review.
Well, I do have a question. Since this is about the fiscal agent, do we have the audit back yet?
We do,
We
yes,
do?
yes. Yeah, I can get you a copy of that.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, it was reviewed and approved at, I don't know, I don't think it was the last, it was, see, we're in June now, May, it was like April, I think it was the April
Okay.
executive committee meeting, and,
Okay.
the auditors came to that and presented everything.
So when would that have been coming to this board and to the, does it not go out of the executive board?
It can for certain, I don't know that it has.
I don't think that it
We
has.
haven't in the past done that except upon request, because it is posted to the website as soon as it's approved by the ad board. So it's public, it's public as soon as that happens. But the separate notifications to this board, it just, as far as I know, has not been requested previously. So we can absolutely get that out there. I can actually send out a link as soon as the meeting is over, a direct link to the link on the website, so you guys can take a look at it, if that works for you.
I think that would be good. I didn't.
Yeah,
realize
absolutely.
it came back.
It did go to Secretary, Link, thank you, and Friedlander from Health and Human Services. So it was sent to all of the agencies at the state level. They all received a copy of it. The highlights of it are that there were no findings this year. So all the findings from the previous year, which there was like 4 or 5, I think, from the previous year, were all cleared and all that was taken care of. Michael's done a really good job of putting controls in place and done an excellent job. And then the main thing, and say this in front of Colin as well, is that we've had retention of staff, so which is wonderful. I mean, that's what we want to create, an environment where we have continuity and have career opportunities. And so that's all good. And the other important aspect of it is that Barnes Deneg, the auditors from Northern Kentucky, they have agreed and have already entered an engagement letter with us to start. And in fact, there's also been correspondence between the lead auditor and Michael on the schedule to get things done. So it's going to be even pushed back. And I was going to make a couple comments about annual meetings in September, and we're making sure that we, deconflict any overlap of schedule things that are coming up in September, because it gets busy, and I can see that from KLC and judges conferences and things like that. But to answer your question, it is on our website. If you want a hard copy, we can do that as well. It was sent to all the state agencies. It was accepted by the reviewed and accepted by the APA. And we're looking good for this next year.
Okay, no, I think, Stacy, I love your idea of just sending out the link
Okay.
Yes.
to us.
And-
Okay.
And Mayor, going forward, we'll make a note that every time the audit's released, we'll just go ahead and send it out to you guys too. And that way you don't have to do the request for it. Okay?
Oh, that would be great. I'm
Yeah,
a little bit of a financial nerd. And I never knew that about myself. So I got elected and I really liked the budget. So that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
much. So, is this good with everybody to kind of think about this and then, vote on it at the joint meeting in September? And then you'll have to,
So we would need a vote now to table it.
oh, okay, okay,
The joint meeting.
okay. On September the 26th. Okay.
Today.
Could I have a motion? Should we get,
Judge Hamilton, you need
Judge
to make a
Hamilton.
motion here.
to table it until, to table this until September 26th at the joint meeting. Is that your motion?
I'll second Judge Hamilton's motion.
Thank you very much. You're off the hook, Judge West. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. That is tabled until September 26th. And Tiffany, you're up again and again and again.
And then I just voted off. So what you'll find next is the PY 24 performance, descriptions, right, and the metrics for our DSP, which is our front line and our one-stop operator. Each year we have, metrics placed on them, in order for them, because under WIOA law, there's, performance bonuses that are given to DSP should they meet the metrics. The adult and dislocated worker and trade is the exact same as last year's, and the youth is also the same as last year's. On the business services, we added to it that they would, for each business service consultant, they would partner with organizations to host career and resource fairs, at least 5 per program year. So we just need to get, that's on the DSP. And then on the one-stop operator metrics is on the next page. And with the one-stop operator, the big initiatives is about 3 practices to bring additional partners into the career centers, and all that. So we just, if you all are good with these, we just need to vote on them. If you all would like an adjustment, we just need to know and we can do the adjustment.
Okay, why don't we get a motion and a second and then we'll discuss it. Do I hear a motion? Judge West? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Judge Winters, thank you. Now, what sort of discussion do you have? Are you pretty good with this?
Aye.
Yeah, okay, no questions. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you. All right, review and approval of direct service provider contract.
So 6 and 7 are gonna be kind of this, they're the same page connected with this, right?
Okay,
But we'll need a separate vote for each one,
okay.
right? So, our WIB, when was our other WIB meeting? Our last WIB meeting? I forget the date.
The 5th.
The 5th. The WIB already had voted to, approve the contract extension, for Equus as the, direct service provider. Equus has done a wonderful job. I can't say enough about them. Whenever we throw something at them, they adjust and roll with it. So their numbers have always been good. They meet their, exits, their quarterly exit performance and all that. So, we just need to know if you all are good with it as well.
Okay. So the amendment is to, for the July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, let's have a motion. It's getting old, isn't it? I can't make a motion as chair, so I'm out of that.
I'll take my turn, yeah.
You'll do
I'll make
it.
a motion, yeah.
Judge Hamilton, do I hear a second? Thank you. Now, is there any discussion about the direct service provider first for the amendment? One-stop operator. Anything at all?
That we're very fortunate to have, because obviously,
Yes.
won't brag about you, Todd.
When I see he comes up next, we don't have to
That's right.
brag about him.
That's
yet.
right.
We gotta
You
give
don't
him
want
our
to get the
time.
big head.
Yeah.
Okay, all those, this is number 6 on our agenda. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that motion passes. All right, thank you. Now, Tiffany, you can just continue right on.
So now the next one would be for approval of, Equus to continue as the one-stop operator as well. Mr. Blanton, who is our one-stop operator, is very valuable, especially to me, as far as making sure how everything runs with electricity and little things that I did not even think about. I didn't even think about, who do we contact to shine the floor, So, yeah, just approval of that. Todd's doing a wonderful job with, he's brought several more partners into the, career center. So yeah. I'm gonna approve him. Then you can give him a big head.
Well, he hasn't outgrown the screen yet. All right, let's have a motion to approve that in a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Your motion by Judge West, and do we have a second, gentlemen?
I'll second.
Thank you, Judge Williams. And is there any discussion of this piece? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any other ayes? Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you. Okay, policy update is you, Kevin. I was looking up at the screen again. Okey doke. This is,
So what we did, this is for the work-based learning policy only. This is all that it affects. On page, you'll see it highlighted, page 4 of the policy. The first thing we wanted to do was, include a section that said about occupations that are not eligible. Okay, so the ones that are, occupations are not eligible include, but are not limited to occupations dependent on commission as the primary source of income, occupations that involve driving a vehicle, occupations that involve carrying a firearm, and occupations where adequate supervision or monitoring is not available. So we have had a couple people that wanted us to, a security firm was like, and we can't, the liability that it would put on the DSP is not right, and to really make it more official that we don't do that and give them some backbone. We wanted to add this to the policy. Another one was they wanted a tow truck driver. Well, once again, we can't do driving. That's just too much of a liability. So we wanted to include those kind of things. The next change that we did.
All those categories are there because of
Well, to give,
obvious liability.
right, obvious liability. And just so when we're out talking to a business, and if you go, well, they're like, well, why do you, is it in your policy? Well, yes, it is in your policy.
Yeah.
So, but it only affects for when we're doing work experience. When that person's out doing that, it's not for jobs we're trying to get people into or on the job training. It doesn't affect any of that. This is only when they're the DSP's employee. And
The work experience is kind of like our, in layman's
Like an
terms, our paid internship program.
right,
When we cover their salary and the workman's comp. And the reason these categories are in place is because, like, for instance, the example that Kevin made, if we're putting somebody in the paid internship program, if you want to put it in simplified terms, them carrying a
A
weapon,
weapon, yeah.
maybe a little bit of a
I
liability.
agree with it.
The driving the vehicle though, I mean, work for HVAC company, go get the truck and.
Well, if they're doing a WEX, you know, we're not wanting them to be drivers. Right?
Right.
And I would prefer them to not drive, because it's only 480 hours, to not drive a vehicle at all if possible. But we're not putting them into vehicle driving opportunities, you know, like we're not gonna because like we can't do a work experience for a CDL's company. You know, like we can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So just to make it easier and like if they're just driving, like I don't wanna do for a delivery. You know, like, for one of the places that runs pharmaceutical stuff, like, we don't wanna do a work-based learning on that because now, right,
But if we have individuals, right, or companies that say, okay, we're, you know, I'm a trucking company, I need people, then we just try to get direct hires for them.
Right.
Or we encourage the OJT because then that individual is on that company's payroll and it is their liability. But,
Yeah.
so.
That makes total sense.
right. And then, on the next page, you'll see what's highlighted. We had made this change, for what we wanted with the WEXs. We had never required the training outline before. So now we just added it to the policy because now we do require a training outline with the work experiences. So, the training outline, the job description must accurately reflect the duties of that job, not just what is listed in ONET or the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. The training outline should identify skills to be acquired for the actual job, and they should be converted into action terms. Example of job description that originally says typing, filing, data processing on the computer should be revised to read, learn to type business letters and business reports on the computer, learn to maintain an established filing system, learn the basics of Microsoft Office programs. And the training outline and job description will be provided by employer. The business services manager will ensure that these are in compliance with board policy. And that's
So
it for the updates.
the purpose of the training outline is that whenever we place an individual in a work experience or even an on-the-job training, we want to make sure that they're gaining certain skills at the workplace. So for instance, when we place somebody at the work-based learning, if they are being hired as a CNC operator, we want them to list what categories they're going to be learning during that time frame they're doing their work experience or their on-the-job training. So we can check those boxes off and say, hey, look, they learned this specific category, they learned this, they learned that. So then that training outline actually goes into their file,
That makes
as opposed to just,
good sense.
And that's it for that update.
Enough. Okay, we don't need to approve this, or do we need to approve this? I guess we do. All right.
Well, I'll make that motion.
Thank you for jumping right in there.
I'll second that motion.
All right, Judge Williams seconds that motion. Okay, any further questions? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that motion passes. Those are good changes. Thank you very much, Kevin.
No, you're welcome.
All right, Robin.
So for the joint meeting on September 26th, you guys already voted on the location. We're trying to do something local food wise, so I have a few options for you. El Tapiado is a Mexican restaurant in that area, and they would do like a fajita bar. So everyone can make their own fajitas, chips, that type of thing. The cost for that is about $600 for 50 people, so very reasonable. We have an Italian restaurant in the area that would offer an Italian plated lunch for $1,050. And we have a caterer in option that would do a taco bar, so kind of similar to the fajitas, only a taco, and it's $1,150.
Well, gang. not time to be hungry yet. So,
650.
yeah, that's what, I mean, El Tapiata, is that what you're thinking, the first one? Do you have a preference?
No.
Judge Hamilton?
You vote yes. He's eating right now.
What are your thoughts on, this?
I'm flexible, ma'am. I was raised to eat about anything, so I'm flexible. You know, I think, I think the 600 and some change option is fine. I have no problem with that.
Okay. That work.
Yes, yes.
All right.
So within that, we have another option for you. So if you choose El Tapiado,
Yes, okay.
there's the option of the big catering trays where everyone can serve themselves, which you could be more flexible if you like beans or if you don't.
Yeah.
Fix it. Or they will fix the individual plates that has everything in it. Do you guys care on that?
Is there a cost difference?
No.
Oh, I think I'd rather fix my own.
Right.
Because you're right, some people like beans, some people don't, some people may like a lot of salad shredded.
Yeah,
Some might not.
exactly what I was
Is
thinking.
that okay?
Well, they just need to know what our preference is.
Yep.
If that's the way they serve it.
Exactly.
Does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Okay, do we need a motion? on
Yeah,
that? Okay.
just in case we get audited, so they know that.
And it was $600.
650.
$650.
$650. All right, here, once again, I need a motion to approve El Tapiado at $650 with the trays.
Yes, ma'am. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Judge West. Judge Williams, thank you. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, that motion passes. Ooh, set for lunch in September. All right, thank you all so very much for those action items and all the discussion. And now we are to informational items, and Tiffany, you're first.
So what I included is because Stacy and I presented at SETA in March, on board training, having an informed board. The Kentucky SETA rep, had sent me some information to let me know how good they did. And I just wanted you all, just as information to see.
Oh, you're the rep. Okay.
But I do think that, and I mean, you can expand on it here, so I think it's important that you all see that, like, whenever we do go to the conferences and we present and things like that, the feedback that is given, like, we're there to provide information to other areas and, you know, steal information on conference, whenever we go to different sections, you know, so Amy, you wanna.
Just that these evaluations are very true. Set of members tend to be very honest in their evaluations. So, people really pay attention. They come there to learn. It's a very, high sought out, professional development organization for training or workforce development. So these are very valuable.
So I just wanted to try to see that.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, any questions about that? All right, we don't need a vote, Judge West. Ooh, off the hook. Okay, very good. Todd, I know you've been waiting patiently.
Yes, ma'am, I have. I'm gonna cover Jennifer's report also,
Okay.
and my report. So
Parent service, yep, okay.
we will start with Jennifer's. And, yeah,
Technically, they're wanting the update for the comprehensive certification in the career center.
okay, well, I'm.
Follow
jumping ahead a little bit.
follow the agenda, Todd.
Did you have the agenda?
I've gotta scroll all the way back up to find where we're at in it.
Oh, we're on number 2 for informational items.
Perfect. So, wish I could be there with you guys today. I've got my daughter today and didn't have anybody to watch her, so I'm at the house, unfortunately. But since we do have CDO and OBR that come to the Career Center there in Lexington, we're going to move forward with certifying the Lexington location. I've got the application done. We have to get a ADA compliance letter, and once we get that, that will complete the application. Then we will put together a committee that we will bring in. We'll review the application, and then it will get submitted to the board. And then after that, it goes on to the state for certification, and that will get us another comprehensive center there in the Bluegrass in Lexington.
Okay, great. All right. Any questions? All right, now put on your Jennifer hat. Do you want to do that now since you're on the mic?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So Jennifer got caught with a participant today, so she was not able to hop on, so I will cover her section of the report. Enrollment wise, we are 76 adults and dislocated workers, 15 youth. We're on track to meet all of the performance metrics for this program year. She always includes in her report all the outreach that the staff do. We are back to a full staff. We've got 2 TDSs at each location. We have our 2 business service specialists. So we are back to full capacity as far as staff goes, and they're doing a lot of outreach, as you can see in the report. We are still going to all of the libraries that we have certified access points at. So we at least go to each county that we don't have a brick and mortar location in, at least one day a month, and spend 4 hours there. That way we can be available to all the different counties that we have. So we're continuing that outreach. Events and workshops, we offer workshops 2 days a week via the website, and she always includes the different events that we've been doing each month. Our business service team, Tamara and Alicia, are doing a great job meeting with employers in the region. We're on track to meet those metrics as far as business services go for the year as well, and getting the master agreements. And then she always includes a success story to make sure that we can highlight all the good work that we're doing. But I will be glad to take any questions that you have over her report, if you have any.
Okay, very good. What questions do we have for Todd?
Everything's under control.
Did you hear that?
We
Judge
hope so,
Williams.
Judge. We hope it's under control.
Yeah, yeah. All right, very good. Thank you very much, Todd. And Jennifer. Okay. Rolando.
I will.
Oh, do we need a vote?
No.
No? Oh, you have one more.
I've got one more.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right, Mayor. So now I'll briefly run through my report. I just always kind of put together a highlight of the last month and kind of what I've been doing. As you can see, the foot traffic as far as in-person folks that are coming into the career centers is growing significantly. We had 976 in-person folks coming through all the different offices in May. And our referral numbers into our WIOA program specifically, you can see we had 128 in the month of May. That's on track for about the same time that we were doing last year when we were at full capacity. So still getting a lot of new referrals into the program. And our staff are doing a great job with assisting those folks and get them into training or internships. Always include a little update on the different employer meetings and job fairs and things that we've done. We had a rapid response planning session with TICA in Winchester. We did a job fair with BCTC in Winchester, and we did a rapid response with Liggett & Platt in Winchester as well. And then I always include all the different hiring events. May was a little bit slower of a month than previously. Our busiest months are typically March and April, but we did a couple job fairs in different areas in May as well. Stacy and I did not record any community resource minutes or business minutes in May, but if you know of something going on in your community and there's an employer or something going on that you want to get highlighted, reach out to Stacy, and I'll be happy to record something with anybody, business or community organization. And then Stacy and Rolando and myself, this was a real highlight. We attended a spokesperson for public information officers training. Stacy
boy.
just killed it. I didn't really felt like I needed the training because I pretty much had it under control. But it was very, no kidding. It was very, very beneficial. I mean, we got to do some on-air talking. Like, I mean, they had the camera set up, and I mean, it was kind of like off the cuff. They would ask you questions. I mean, it was really interesting. I was kind of skeptical, but once we got into it, you know, the highlight for me was seeing Stacy have to get behind that camera and do that. So, it was very interesting though, no kidding. And then we did a rapid response with Leggett and Platt. 42 individuals here in Winchester were affected that we saw. We had individuals from BCTC, Unemployment Insurance, the Office for Employer and Apprenticeship Services, and the Department of Labor that presented to those folks and provided them with information on the different resources that were available to them after their last day of employment. But other than that, I will take any questions that you have.
That's great. All right, questions?
Todd, you could, Leggett and Platt, what happened there? If I missed that, if something happened with that plant, I assume you're talking about the plant that's been there for what, 70, 80 years?
Yes, Judge, that's exactly where it was at. Rolly, I don't know exactly what happened with, I think they just kind of eliminated the production of the box springs and mattresses, and they're just going to be doing shipping from that location now, I believe is what happened. Is that right, Rolly?
Yeah, they're pretty much laying everybody off with the exception of just a handful of folks. So they've lost like their production side of everything. They're keeping part of that facility just to do some warehousing. There was a whole reorganization within the Leggett and Platt name in itself. But there's several factors that can key into it, from the reorganization piece of it, also to some cost of shipping, and production of certain materials and things like that. So they're gonna get rid of, that piece of it from that region really, because they're the only one that does it in this region.
How many employees were affected, do you know?
There were, I don't have the numbers in front of me, there was a little bit over 100, I want to say about 150 individuals were affected by it. I think Todd had included in his report, but the day after the rapid response, there was an on-site hiring event, so employers within and around the counties were invited to attend. And their management have been really hands-on to make sure these folks find jobs, either within the
help people.
yeah, so.
Todd, do you all see evidence, and you know, we all continue, I assume we all continue to be frustrated by businesses that thankfully don't have people working for them, right? And services are impacted, but we can't do that because we don't have enough staff, or they're picking up your prescription at the drugstore or whatever it is. Is there any visibility that you all have to see that changing, or there's no evidence that anything's going to change anytime soon, right?
You know, Judge, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, honestly. I mean, look, we've got employers that are reaching out to our business services team all the time, just talking about their hiring needs and the lack of employees that they have. I mean, I think you see from the number of referrals that we have coming in, you know, with interest in our program, there are people that are out there that are looking and trying to better themselves and find that better opportunity. But, I mean, we hear from employers all the time, the same thing that you're talking about, how they just can't find individuals that are willing to show up and come to work. And I mean, I think that's just kind of, you know, what's going on out there right now. And I mean, our team is out there trying to work with the employers and connect them with folks, but you know, it's sometimes easier said than done, unfortunately, I think.
It's been a little bit of a catch-22. I think every area's been a little bit different, as opposed to county-wise. And what I mean about that is, like, for instance, like, we have a standing HR meeting in Berea, and they're actually not even having a hard time finding employees. It's keeping the employees is what they're having a hard time with. And then you run into other companies who are saying, hey, look, we're having a hard time finding employees, but then you kind of dig into the weeds a little bit and come to find out a lot of their application systems aren't really the best in the world. So for instance, a lot of those applicants are getting screened before they even see any applicants coming through the door. So like the days of a person coming in there in person, dropping off a resume are pretty much far few in between. So they use these systems that kind of does a little bit of the screening for them. So they don't even see a third of the applications that come through. And the reason I know that's kind of been the case is that a lot of them, all forward a resume to a company, they'll be like, oh, I didn't realize they even applied. Like, well, yeah, they applied about 3 months ago for your job that they're still waiting to hear back from.
And one of the things too, where some of these, companies now are using the computer, to screen out. One of the things we teach is if there is a job lead, right, and you're applying for it, you have to put, when you're filling that out, you have to make sure your resume has some of that key wording, because if not, you can be over. I mean, just perfect fit for that job, completely qualified. But if they're using the software to screen through applicants, then if you don't have key wording from that job lead in your resume and the information you put in that online application, it's never seen. Which is sad,
And
so.
then there are companies who are just struggling in general, they just can't find anybody. So it's been a little bit of everything that we've seen.
Very frustrating. You mentioned getting prescriptions. Most of the pharmacies have cut their hours severely. And, all kinds of things like that. Fayette County's a little different, but yet, so here we have more people working than we've ever had in history. And yet, there are a lot of businesses that can't find enough people to work. And I think part of that is a specific sector. I can't tell you what they are exactly, but, it's very frustrating. And if you, as a government, need to order any piece of equipment, we're waiting 3 years to get equipment, and that has to do with other people, other places. It's,
Fire trucks,
Oh.
ambulances, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years, it's been,
it's a long time.
they basically won't guarantee it then. We ordered a fire truck in 2020, took delivery on it in April this year.
Oh, wow, that's.
We did the same. It's, I don't know if that will ever change. I don't
Perhaps
know.
not.
It's a different economy now with workers.
Well, and one thing though is, about the worker side. One thing the pandemic did was it showed people that they could possibly live on one income. And now that other income, that other worker that we had, when they start to go back to work, well, childcare is so expensive, it's like, well, why work? So we've lost part of our workforce that people have gone back to become single income families.
Or there's some statistics that.
I would say I can look up statistics, but just from people I know, there are people that did that like, well, why go back to work when I found that I can live like this? And we don't spend as much money as we used to on other things, but working for just childcare is
Same.
insane.
It's been the same thing with the benefits like food stamps and things of that nature. If they were to get like $1 or $2 to the hour, they're like, well, you know what, let's cut my hours a little bit. Because if I hit too much, I'm gonna lose X, Y, and Z. So it's been a different world for sure. And the childcare alone, I don't know, childcare is like paying a mortgage.
You get out, you get out in counties, you have transportation issues. So, I mean, here in Bay County, we're lucky to have a bus system and things, but some of the others don't. So when you start looking for
Work.
it's, that's one of the issues we're always trying to figure out, is how can we help people get to work?
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much. Now, Let's go back to number 3, Lori.
I'll try it this
I
time.
tried to jump.
Yeah.
But
And just kind of keeping that trend of layoffs and, closures and whatnot. I mean, we probably have seen quite a bit this fiscal year as opposed to years past. And one of the ones that we're gonna talk about is BGCAP, the Bluegrass Farm Depot. It is an ongoing process. It's not this thing is probably, you're probably gonna get sick and tired of hearing about it, but it's probably gonna be another 3 or so years that we will continue talking about it. It is all hands on deck. So I don't want to take none of the credit, because there's a lot of folks that have been involved in this whole thing, this whole process. But just to kind of keep you guys in the loop, we have done some rapid responses for those folks. To this point, we have had 6 scheduled. We have executed 5 of them. They canceled 1 of them because they didn't have nobody attended. But we've provided 5 rapid response services. There's been 2 job fairs that have occurred for those individuals in partnership with the folks that are part of BGCAT. There was about 153 that attended the first job fair and about 154 that attended the second job fair. Kevin and I attended the first one, and then Tiff and Jennifer attended the second one. And then, as always, they have had access to all of our services. The Career Center has been opened every Friday specifically just for those folks. They could come in there and attend the Career Center and seek any type of guidance, whether it's resume or workshops or whatever they may want to do. But in addition to that, they have also had access to our adult funding or dislocated work funding for services. In addition to that, we have applied for National Dislocated Worker Grant. We are still in the process in that. We're just seeking guidance whether we need to do anything else at the moment, but the application has been submitted on our part. And it's basically additional funding to provide services.
Do you know, or do you have a feel for how many people who've attended have actually gone on and gotten a job?
Well, a lot of those, the numbers are pretty skewed because we don't get a real accurate number from them, but I will say a lot of just from the folks who have attended rapid response services, it's been small numbers. It's been about 30-something here, 30-something there. So it hasn't really been a large number, which at this point in time, we're only seeing kind of like the outskirts of things. It won't be till, I think a lot of the folks, because we kind of got to hear it firsthand from them at the job fairs. I would say a lot of those folks we won't see till early part of 2025 to mid to late to 2025. And then we'll see the bulk of those individuals, and then we'll see another wave towards the end of it, but it'll kind of be like what we're seeing now.
Do you have any numbers for folks that were working there that have moved to Bluegrass Station?
For
similar positions or behind?
So whenever we did
Or is there a reason to?
I haven't heard anything from Bluegrass Station.
A lot of their jobs are mechanical. They're refitting. The work they do is working on aircraft,
Right.
which might be
They're,
a little different.
yeah, it's a little bit different because they're dealing a little bit with the chemical side and the weapons and the Bluegrass Army Depot piece of it.
Yeah.
We haven't heard much about Bluegrass Station, but we were, whenever we did those job fairs, we were kind of being strategic of getting employers that were pretty close to the job they're doing now, at least wage wise, and also about some of the positions they're doing. So it wasn't just Madison County focused. They were reaching out to folks in Georgetown and Blue Ovals there, stuff like that. So it was all around the state they were reaching out to, but Judge, none specific for Bluegrass Station, but I would say that probably when we get to the knee deep into the layoffs, probably in around 2020, mid 2025, we'll probably hear a little more about that.
Okay, anything else? All right, thank you. Karen?
He had a doctor's appointment, but Robin's going to have it.
Robin, okay, Robin.
So you guys have the new flyer in the packet, like this, or the VR. The simulations they've been redoing, a lot of them were like 15 to 20 minutes. They're redoing them and making them shorter, so it takes about 5 minutes per simulation. So when we go into the schools, it's easier to work through the students, so that's worked great. We had 10 simulations, and the 1st of May, they released 12 more, so we're up to 22 now, so there's lots of exciting things on the list. And they're kind of, there's some things that are kind of relevant, like the assemble batteries for the assemble components for the EV battery. Very appropriate in our region right now, right? Popular ones are servicing the commercial airline. They actually get to drive an airplane in the simulation.
Oh,
The kids love exploding an underpass.
oh,
Anytime you can do that, right? The medical, we just the last 2 weeks did a healthcare clinic with BCTC. And their students got to work through the medical ones. And the knee surgery, you'll notice the little red mark on here involves quite a bit of blood.
uh-huh.
So that's their favorite one too, on the medical, they love the bloody ones. So it's just the interest that we've got those extra ones. And we just wanted to remind you too, that if you have any connections or any ideas where we could present this, we're doing a push this next year that we want to get into all the high schools. Judge Hamilton has been to one of ours, when we went out to one of the high schools. The Franklin County judge came when we went to Franklin County High School. But we've only been to 2 high schools in Fayette County, Frederick Douglass and Henry Clay. So we're working on expanding that. If you have any ideas or anything, let us know. And also to present these to community. We've done Parks and Rec here in Lexington a couple times. And then another aspect of it is that we have the certifications, which are OSHA related. So if you have any need that you would like us to come out and present our OSHA based ones to your group, you would be happy to do so.
Robin, what does it take to get into a high school? What do you need?
It's really just connection with the person there that's in charge. And then once we make that connection, we do have background. Those of us who go into the schools all have background checks done yearly. And then we coordinate with them, and they pretty much love it because we take it and we do everything. So the teachers can just observe and we run everything. So easy, it's just making that connection sometimes that's a little difficult.
When you went to Frederick Douglass, did you go to Carnegie Wilson?
I was not one of the people who went to Frederick Douglass. I've been to Henry Clay, but I haven't been to Frederick.
William, don't you think Carnegie Wilson would love this? They do. I might get with you later.
Okay. Yeah.
Does Jeremy have the capability to edit? Or do we just, bad getting them and you just see them, they are what they are.
We give them feedback on what people want to see, and they're always working on more. I know one that's gonna be coming out soon is a vet assistant. They've recently come out with Spanish because they weren't, or actually, I guess they're working on Spanish. They come out with closed captions recently. So we definitely take feedback to them all the time. We're kind of one of their star contacts in Kentucky because we've hooked them up with so many other people that have purchased these for themselves after trying it with us because it's worked so well. So yeah, any careers, we're always open for it and taking it. And IT was one of our suggestions a little while back, and they implemented a few IT ones.
How soon will a vet assistant?
I believe by the end of the year.
Because Locust Trace might really love that. I don't know if you're familiar with Locust Trace High School. It's out near the prison on Leestown Road, and it's So the kids do half a year in half a day in their own high school. And then they go to Locust Trace, which is focused on agriculture, fish, all the fish stuff. I don't know what you call that. Vet tech and that kind of thing. It's careers that have to do with agriculture and.
So kind of like the area technology centers, but instead it's geared
Yeah,
towards the agricultural side,
exactly.
the wildlife.
Yes, and plants, all of that. So that vet tech, when I know they have a certain number of students who are actually at Locust Trace for the vet component. And that might really be good out there, so,
Yeah, that's great.
yeah. I'll kind of get with you sometime about some of those contacts,
Okay, so
if
great.
you'd like.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm. What else? Anything on this topic? Right. Let's see, what are we doing next? Stacy? Website?
Yes. I just wanted to let everyone know, Judge Williams is going to be familiar with this because I went over this with him, I believe it was last week. We have added to our websites, plural, Bluegrass Ad, the Kentucky Career Center website, and the BG Web website, a accessibility option for those who have certain issues, and I'm going to share my screen here. Just a moment. There we go. And you'll notice here the widget that's been installed on these is called Accessibility, and it's really about providing access to citizens of the Bluegrass who may have some sort of issue that would make it difficult for them to access our website correctly. This website or this widget provides accessibility to different individuals, people with seizures, visual impaired. I thought it was ADHD was an interesting one. It never would have occurred to me that would be one that would be needed, but it was exciting to see. Cognitive disabilities, different things like that. So people can choose these options and turn them on. You'll see that let's see, the ADHD options. You'll see things like that. It changes the display on each of the screens to make it easier for people with these individual issues. They can turn them on and off as needed to access those sites and get the information that we're providing. This is something that we're sharing with all the counties. We've shared it with our board members. We have some of our community organizations that have we're interested in adding it to their website because it is required by the Americans with Disability Act to have, if you have a website that serves the public, to be at least it's level A compliant. The widget that we have installed makes us double A, which is a step above the required level. So we're excited about that, to being over what the minimum requirement is. But it was just something that we wanted to share with everybody because we're excited that we're able to provide that option to folks.
That's very cool.
And if anybody has any questions.
Any questions?
No, ma'am. Yeah, we're going to do that with our website. Stacy's obviously been working with our deputy judge to develop a new website for Bergen County, and I knew that Stacy made us aware last week, and met with her and Shane, and
It's great.
we'll do what we need to do to be compliant and avoid litigation. That's our goal. There's no lawyers in here, I don't say.
We all get it.
That's a big thing that we've been pointing out to everyone, that there are lawyers who that is essentially their career now, is to go around and find non-compliant websites and bring up suits against them. So.
Well, thank you so much. That's really great. We've got the BG Whip membership list, I believe, enclosed. And,
And that's just enclosed, just to give you all
Yeah.
information on all the WIC members.
okay, good. Appreciate that. Is 3 terms the limit? Is there a limit? It is. Okay. All right, we have several. Okay, and last but not least, because you were the first, it's Tiffany again.
Just the workforce updates, we're still waiting for the reauthorization. Really give the update on the NDWG grant that we've got, that we've applied for the depot. Like you said, we're still waiting on that. July 25th, the Kentucky Senate representative is having a Senate Day. So, and it will be at, KCTCS there in Rosedale, so we'll be having our joint training. Should you all want to attend it, just let us know and we will get you all registered to attend it. I can send some more information, out to you all to let you know. I know that board staff will be there. There's going to be presentations.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mini SETA conference, kind of a membership drive, just to give people an example of what an actual SETA conference is like and some of the things that they'll be learning. So, I've asked some of the folks that typically present at SETA, they're gonna be zooming in. And then, there's some local areas that are gonna be coming and presenting as well. The VR is actually one of the presentations,
Oh, good.
as well. So, yeah, hopefully we'll increase our membership. Kentucky actually has the second highest membership for the SETA of the 8 states that are part of the SETA organization. I'm hoping that we have a one SETA conference. That's
Good. That's great.
But we'll send an email out, and if you all would like to attend that day, just let us know and we'll get you registered.
All right.
That's my thanks.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So that takes us to the end of our agenda. And does anybody have anything for the good of the whole before we adjourn?
I would just like to thank the Leos, thank you elected officials for doing this. I know that it was a tight quorum today, and I know that you have to get redundancy and motions and stuff, but I just want to point out that, it's an important endeavor. I mean, it's a $4.5 million budget endeavor on an annual basis. 17 members of the board, various reasons why people can't make it. We certainly understand that, but we appreciate the commitment from the 4 of you that were involved today, and look forward to continued cooperation and work in these endeavors in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything else?
Always an honor to be here with you.
Well, and let me tell you, we needed Judge West and Judge Hamilton too. Thank you. All right. Well, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Steve Hamilton, you gonna make the motion to adjourn?
Oh, wait, everybody else seconds, all right. All those in favor? Yes. We are adjourned. Thank you all for all your good work.